On my desk at work, I keep a sheet of white paper on the left-hand side with a list of all my tasks to be completed for that day. You see, I need reminders. And I love the notebook function on my phone. If a thought or a word or expression comes to mind, I just type it in and I can send it to myself. Because I need reminders. We all, I think, need reminders. And when it comes to our faith, I also think that we need reminders. It's so easy to take our faith for granted or to misunderstand what's at the heart of our faith. So we need to regularly be reminded of its meaning and power. You know, today many Catholics don't practice their faith anymore. And it must be because it just doesn't seem to offer them meaning. And sometimes I can't blame them. Our worship can at times seem routine. Our readings can seem strange and hard to connect with everyday life. Sometimes even our homilies may not be exciting and relevant, but we need to be reminded that there is a power and a meaning found only in Christ. We need to be reminded that at the heart of our faith is a person, is the person, the living, risen Jesus Christ in our midst. He alone can fill us with the new life we crave and the freedom we need. He alone can fill our hungry hearts. Now, in today's gospel, we heard about the transfiguration of Jesus on the mountain. We heard about Moses and Elijah showing up and the great cloud of God's presence all appearing. This scene functions as one of the powerful reminders as to the meaning and significance of our faith. This story is so stuffed with Old Testament figures and images that as I read the gospel during the week and prayed about it, I felt like a guy who sat down at a table filled with delicious foods, not knowing where to start. The whole story is just too much. It's as if this story was created by some kind of mad biblical movie director who wanted to use every major prop in the Old Testament to tell this story. And so he thinks, well, Moses met God on a mountain, so we should have Jesus up on a mountain. And Moses and Elijah should be there, the law and the prophets. Let's see if they're available. And Moses' face, when he was up on the mountain with God in front of the burning bush, his face shined white and bright. So we need Jesus' face and his clothes to shine bright and light. And let's see if that smoke machine is still working so that we can have the divine cloud that covered Moses and filled the temple cover this scene. Oh, and check the sound system, because we want to hear God identify Jesus as son and servant and beloved. So why is this passage so packed with Old Testament references? Well, here's a suggestion. Here's my suggestion. I think Matthew's gospel is trying to get us to realize that Jesus is too much. He's trying to get us to appreciate that Jesus is so much more than we can imagine or realize. He's overwhelming, in fact. He is the fullness of God's presence among us. Just way too much to take in. Now, yes, I understand that Jesus was a first century Galilean Jew, a man, a human being just like any of us. But he was more than that. He was a prophet. And not just a prophet, but the prophet. But he wasn't just a prophet. He was the anointed Messiah, the Christ. But not just the Messiah, but God's Son, the full embodiment and expression of the Creator present in him. No wonder Jesus is way too much. He is the new wine bursting all wineskins. He can't be contained by any image, any idea, any experience. He's just too much to take in. And yet he's here among us as we gather for Mass. This is why. Thank God, this is why that Jesus comes to us in small ways. He comes to us in bread and wine and water and oil. Otherwise, we couldn't take him in. Our bandwidth is too small. And so the overwhelming mystery of the Holy Present in Jesus comes to us in ordinary and everyday things so that we can take him in on our level. Now, we need to be reminded that the risen one does come to us. He shows up all the time in our lives, especially in hard ways. But these ordinary and simple ways that the Lord comes to us, we can take those for granted. We can miss the power, the presence that is embodied in these ordinary delivery systems. So right now, I want you to close your eyes. Go ahead, it's okay, close your eyes. I want you to imagine yourself on that mountaintop. It's a large area of green grass, and a breeze is blowing that grass. And out from the mountaintop, you can see the beautiful Sea of Galilee and the village of Capernaum down below. And as you turn around, you suddenly see Jesus standing there, his face shining bright, his clothes shimmering with light, and you could feel the warmth and light radiating off of him and onto you. And suddenly the bright darkness of this cloud covers you and this mountain, and you can hear radiating from the cloud and reverberating within you the voice of God saying, "This is my Son. Listen to him." Thank God that this one comes to us in simple ways. Open your eyes if you haven't already. You see, he's the fullness of the presence of the Creator of the cosmos. He's the overwhelming presence of God. He is God's beauty and truth and fullness in life. Thank God he comes in small ways. And when he does, he fills us with God's life. When he comes to us in ordinary ways, he liberates us from all the forces in our world that want to enslave us and dehumanize us. Now, do you want to know the simplest and most ordinary way that Jesus comes to us? If you do, turn to the person next to you, and you will see that the most common way that the Lord comes to us is through each other. He comes to us through our wives and our children, our friends, and yes, sometimes even through husbands, shocking as that may be. You see, he comes to us through each other. He has chosen to come to us despite our sinfulness and our failures and weaknesses. He comes to us, and through us, he touches other people's lives. We are like Abraham, blessed and saturated with Christ's presence. We, like Abraham, are sent out to be a blessing to others. This Sunday, my friends, allow yourself to stand on that mountain in the midst of Christ as he radiates the light and beauty of God. Allow him to fill your life with his presence, to free you, so that when you come down from the mountain and leave here, you share this life with all